What's up, my fellow Michiganians, Michiganders, whatever you happen to call yourselves? Welcome back to the channel. And after reevaluating the Lions draft, I think they did it perfectly. I was upset after day one. I gave Brad Holmes a D for the first round of the draft, but I realized something. I was grading based off the wrong thing. You see, we all had the impression that the Lions would draft the best player available because that's what they've done the past couple of years. And they would value certain positions that were more valuable than others. But now that I look at it, the Lions drafted to win now. You see, when you're a rebuilding team, that's when you take the best player available and you take the most important positions. You don't take the luxury positions. Well, with this draft, what Brad Holmes is telling me is that the Lions are in win now mode and that we can draft those luxury positions. Basically, what the Lions did was draft for need instead, and draft for need and also draft for fit instead of just the best player available. And I think when you're in a position that the Lions are in right now, that's the perfect strategy. Let's look at all the needs they had. They needed someone to complement Jameson Williams while he was gone for 6 games, or to complement St. Brown while Williams is gone. They got one of the most explosive athletes in the entire draft. You build up your running back depth while also having someone you can line up in the slot. You just add a whole dimension to your offense, which is already very good. So that's a need filled. You needed a linebacker help. You got one of the best linebackers in the draft. And even though I was down on him at first, watching his film and reevaluating his athleticism, actually, he is very athletic and he's elite at reading the holes. So, Nolan Smith wouldn't have filled as big of a need as Jack Campbell does. So him and Rodrigo on the field will work out perfectly. So that's a need filled. We needed a tight end. Got a great tight end. Everyone was talking about how we took him over Michael Mayer, but truth be told, Laporta doing that in an offense that was absolutely abysmal actually is extremely impressive. And he's very good running after the catch. And I trust Dan Campbell and his ability to evaluate tight ends. So that's a need filled. Running back, linebacker, tight end. Then the only luxury pick they really made was Brian Branch, and that was the one where they picked a first-round talent in the second round, whereas I said before they picked second-rounders in the first round, although that might not necessarily be true. So that's a need filled. You wanted to add one more piece to the secondary. You have someone that can play safety or corner, really good at zone coverage. Perfect pick right there. And then we've been talking about how they need a backup quarterback. Well, I'd argue they got maybe even the second best quarterback in the draft, probably third. But that's the perfect pick for the third round. And the fact that they kept trading back and trading back and trading back. The fact is, I think they tried to trade back as much as they could, accumulate as many picks, because I don't know how much Brad Holmes values the rest of this draft, because he knows that none of the players in the late rounds can help him win now. So then all of a sudden, next round, we get a defensive tackle who's absolutely huge. Not someone that the draft experts loved, but definitely has some potential. So, and that was the one everyone was complaining about, was interior defensive line. So, you know what? Almost every position of need they filled, and they got very good players to fill them. Now, we can debate about certain positions, like we could have said, we could have drafted Jalen Carter, we could have drafted Michael Mayer. But here's the thing. The Lions obviously value talent because all the guys they got are talented. But they're taking that approach, but also kind of the New England Patriots approach of we're going to get guys that fit our system. And people may roll their eyes and say, oh my gosh, we've seen this movie before, but it's not quite the same. The thing is, the Patriots also took guys that were nowhere, weren't even supposed to be in the stratosphere where they were drafted. The Lions didn't go that far. They slightly reached, but not a lot. But the Lions were really willing to reach if the guys fit the culture. And the Patriots won that way for almost 2 decades. I know they had Tom Brady, but even now, they're not terrible right now because their culture is so good. So the Lions are establishing that. You get guys like Sam Laporta, who was willing to play in the bowl game after having an ankle injury, and actually was looking to play quarterback in that game. You look at Jack Campbell, who's a great leader, and can be a leader on that defense along with Rodrigo. I mean, the fact is you're getting guys that are going to be team players, work extremely hard, and also add a lot of value to this team. The fact is, after this draft, I can't really name one position group that the Lions are weak at. Maybe still defensive tackle, but hey, they still have room to address that. This offseason isn't over. And we just traded away DeAndre Swift. I wonder if that's going to be to free up some cap space so that we can get another defensive tackle. I think that would be a great move. So, after all this, considering that the Lions' draft strategy was to draft for need and not necessarily best player available, I think they did a great job. And, we all thought that Mayer was better than Laporta. We all thought that Jalen Carter was the perfect pick at six, but there's stuff that we don't know. There's a lot of teams that passed on Mayer. That's just the reality. There are a lot of teams that could have used him that passed on him. So even though he looked better on tape at times than Laporta, what do we really know? And also, how much of Laporta's struggles are due to Iowa's offensive struggles? Because they were absolutely abysmal. I think Spencer Petras is the worst quarterback in the Power 5. He was absolutely abysmal. So, yeah, if I were to regrade this draft based off of the parameters I just set, I'd give it a B+. And you know what? I can't really make a grade because there's a lot of information I don't know that they know. And so far, the Lions have done a great job of evaluating talent. They haven't hit on everybody, but they've hit a lot more than they've missed. So, you know what? Going into 2023, the Lions are in great shape. I think we're in position to win this division and possibly host a playoff game and win a playoff game. How much farther can we go? We don't know. But it's good to know that if Jared Goff goes down, we have a guy who's very mature, a great guy in Hendon Hooker, who, trust me, as a Virginia Tech alum, I was very excited to see that. And I've met him a couple times, great guy. But you get a guy who's going to be ready day one, at least mentally. He's going to have to learn the playbook, but I actually think that we're going to try to run a similar scheme to Tennessee in that we're going to try to get rid of the ball quickly, get it out to the slot. I mean, we have two great slot receivers now in Gibbs and St. Brown. And, you also have a deep ball threat in Jameson Williams. So if Goff goes down, Hooker will be ready. The age thing actually, I think, is a good thing because that makes him more worthy of being a backup. So Lions basically said, we're going to get all our picks in the first 3 rounds, and we don't think that the bottom of this draft is very talented. And Holmes usually does well in the late rounds, both when he was with the Rams and with the Lions. He's found most of his talent late in the draft. So if he says there's nobody on this team that I really want from rounds 4 to 7, I trust him. He has the track record to have me trust him. So I'm looking forward to this season. It's going to be great. I apologize for kind of an immediate reaction after day one. I think we were all a little bit shocked. But the fact is they filled all their holes and they got guys that fit the culture and fit the team very well, and also fit our scheme. That's another important thing. And I have no reason to say that I don't trust these guys. And I think all the guys that they have are going to be impact players day one, every single guy that they drafted. So that's very exciting. All right, y'all have a good rest of your Sunday. Go Panthers today, and have a good night.